CM Punk has made a big reference to AEW on last night's SmackDown. WWE could be looking to call up a popular NXT name, and the reason why a major name is open to joining WWE or AEW has possibly been revealed. Stay tuned for all the wrestling news. So CM Punk was back on last night's SmackDown. It is his first blue brand appearance in almost 10 years, and he cut quite a long promo. He was in the ring for almost 12 minutes. The entire segment was 12 minutes anyway, and it was maybe the promo that everyone was expecting him to cut on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
Like his first Monday back after returning at Survivor Series, it was a very, quote-unquote PG Punk sort of promo. It was like, I'm home, I'm here, I'm glad to be back. Whereas this one, there was a little bit more juice to it, a little bit more...
He was swinging a bit.
He was, as CM Punk said, a little bit of spicy Punk, which... is a completely different thing, but he was being a little bit spicy, and one of those spicy moments was when he made a little jab to AEW.
Little illusion.
A little illusion. He during the promo, he sort of discussed, and he brought up the name of numerous people that he could be working with, which we'll get to in a minute or two. But one of the names was Kevin Owens. He pointed out in the crowd, he was like, someone said Kevin Owens, so it's my time to talk about him. In the promo,
cuts to Nick Khan. Kevin Owens.
Yeah. He says, speaking about a potential matchup with Kevin Owens or teaming with Kevin Owens, which is also a spicy prospect, he said, let's pump the brakes on that. Maybe we're a little bit alike. I don't know who would feel comfortable working with someone who just punches people in the face backstage. It's 2023. You can't be doing stuff like that. It's insane.
Let's get the inflection. The inflection was like, it's 2023, guys. It was very like, yeah.
It was. And the thing here is, let's be completely honest. The crowd didn't really react to it.
No, there was a little murmur, but it just went.
Yeah, and I'm not sure whether it's a case of
it did go.
It went over their head.
It went. And they just went, and?
That's the thing. It's like, because obviously CM Punk, Kevin Owens has recently just punched people backstage, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory being those that he's punched. But was it the people just not getting the reference on the spot and being like, oh, that was an AEW thing?
Or are people just over it?
Or people over it. But it is still a big reference, considering we know he's signed to NDAs. He can't speak about his time.
No, but this is a little loophole where he can directly reference it. When they go, what are you doing? He goes, talking about Kevin Owens punching people backstage, and how I might not want to work with him because who wants to work with somebody who punches people backstage? Wink, wink.
Right, and that probably that's seems to be how he's managed to get around it.
Yeah.
It's just, this feels very much like what he maybe people wanted him to do on that Raw, and he's finally done it in a promo, and it didn't quite land as well. The rest of the promo, though, I thought was bloody brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, it's Punk, right? He's unrivaled. He's unmatched on the stick. So it's kind of, those skills haven't diminished over time. And his time away and his time with AEW, they only kind of got stronger. And, he's back. So expecting more and more vitriol, but maybe we're going to have to start seeing WWE aping situations that happen backstage in AEW so that Punk can make references to them. But if the crowd's not going to react,
there's no point. And how much crossover is it that people in the WWE audience that were there that night are aware of the backstage stuff that went on in AEW? I mean, it has been kind of the big news this year.
It's a big thing as well, but like we all exist in a bit of a bubble, the more diehard wrestling audience, don't we? So I think for us it's a bit like, whoa, and for most average people it's kind of like, boxers punch each other all the time at weigh-ins.
Yeah.
And they're like,
it happens. But this promo, he also went into sort of possible future feuds within his next upcoming Owens, run. Right? Yes, on top of Owens, he made reference to Seth Rollins, his rumored opponent at the Royal Rumble.
Oh, just isn't even the man in his own household.
Exactly. And then he said that the only thing that he has going for him is his entrance music. You in agreement with Mr. Punk there, the punker? The crowd then did burst out into Seth Rollins' music, and he was like, we're having
that's
fun.
Your cue.
Exactly.
The big lights came on with Seth's face above the audience. They all knew what they had to do.
They knew what they had to do, and it was like a nice wee twist in the promo where Punk was like, look at all these people that have come back and I've made friends with. We've got, he mentioned Cody Rhodes, LA Knight, big shout out of main event Jey Uso, but then he was like, but one person, one bad apple always has to spoil the bunch, Seth Rollins. He also went on to talk about a future rumoured feud with Roman Reigns.
Which I guess, that was the first sort of thing that popped up. It was like, well, Punk, Roman, Mania, that makes sense. That's a headliner, but you can't really do it straight away because that way.
Yeah, well, he looked right down the lens of the camera and said, I acknowledge you, Tribal Chief, but just remember who the original Paul Heyman guy was.
That's right. It was like Bam Bam Bigelow or Eddie Gilbert in 1987.
Yeah, and anyone in ECW. And then
you had the Dangerous Alliance, Undertaker.
It's a good way to have the Reigns feud happen without the world title or the Universal title. It's a fight over Paul Heyman on a pole match.
Well,
Paul Heyman.
It was one of the things that was kind of getting thrown around by the Observer like last week or the week before, where it was kind of like, well, what if like things are looking like it could be a storyline where Heyman leaves Roman for Punk, and then we get a Reigns face turn, and I just don't get how you could even turn Roman face at this point. It'd just make Punk super face if Heyman went and aligned with him. But at the same time, I think it is a means of doing it without having to have the belt change hands.
Yeah, right. And I feel like it would take away from Cody's story, and we'll get to Cody finishing the story in a second, but it would take away from Cody's story of Reigns does beat him at WrestleMania if that's the match that they're going for, just so that Reigns can feud with Punk, when Punk's got a ready-made world title feud cooking right now with Seth Rollins, and that seems to be the direction they're going to go. But he says, Punk said about finishing the story, he was like, to finish what I started, I've got to main event WrestleMania
and win.
He's got to win it.
You've got to win it to finish it, sort of. Because otherwise it's rubber chicken time.
Yeah, someone needs to chuck a rubber chicken in if it doesn't, though, just to even the playing field between them. But
X's on its wings.
Straight edge chicken. But later on, we see Punk interact with numerous talents backstage. Bumps into Kevin Owens, which is kind of juicy because there was a lot of people speculating that Kevin's injury last week was to write him off SmackDown this week, so that they weren't backstage together. But they were. He goes, "Where's Aldis's office?" Kevin goes, "Nope. Thanks for the help." No, you're welcome. It was a very nice interaction that teases something there. Obviously, he met Nick Aldis, handed him a contract, was like, please sign with us. He's going to maybe sign with Raw on Monday night. We'll look into that. We'll see on Monday how things go down. We also then saw him reunite with Cody Rhodes. They shook hands as friends, and it was a nice little promo where, well, Cody Rhodes was like, I hear if you want to main event WrestleMania, you're going to have to win the Rumble.
Oh, we make this a three-way. And it just convolutes everything.
Exactly. I really liked his return here on SmackDown. Much better than his one on Raw. And the crowd was into it, bar the AEW line.
Yeah, I think, it's only going to get hotter and hotter, I guess, with Punk. As soon as that first feud sort of solidifies, because we're still in that floaty period where it's like, okay, we're sort of waiting for things to... He's at the ground floor. He's waiting for the lift to arrive at the lobby, right?
Yeah, pretty much. But we'll keep an eye on what CM Punk's doing going forward. It's an exciting time for the main roster at the moment. But looking at someone who could be joining the main roster soon is one Tyler Bate. According to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, WWE is considering calling up Tyler Bate from NXT to join the main roster at some point. He's currently slated to compete at NXT Deadline in the Iron Survivor match, Deadline being tonight. But he could be moving to the main roster soon. In the past, there's been speculation that he might not land as well in the main roster due to his size.
I don't know how.
He's just really good, but he's been in developmental for 7 years.
Nearly a decade, man.
Right.
Nearly a decade. Get him on the main roster.
When WWE signed him, Drew McIntyre was still in Impact and was the Impact Grand Champion. It's been a long time since they signed Tyler Bate.
I get, there's a size divide, right? And I know that, traditionally American TV wrestling and WWE especially is very size oriented. But you've got Ray, right?
Yeah.
You've proven that height isn't everything and skill can dictate quite a lot of that.
Yeah.
And Tyler is an immensely skilled talent in a style that you don't really see much of on the main roster. No. So he's kind of got that going for him. He's got that kind of unique side to him. And I think that so long as his entrance to the main roster is handled properly, he'll be over as hell.
Well, we've seen little hints that he could reunite with Pete Dunne, now Butch on the main roster. And I think that would be...
we got that kind of spicy situation going on there.
Exactly. So it could be a nice way to segue him into the main roster. We'll see how he does on NXT Deadline tonight. But NXT Deadline obviously underwent some changes recently with Wesley being pulled from the show due to injury. Well, Shawn Michaels has commented on that change to the card on the press conference or the media scrum leading up to the event. He says, the decision was with Wes was pretty darn close to last minute. Wes has been struggling for quite some time. It was a decision that Wes made on his own, as he should, but just a day or two before we had a long talk, and he just did not think he could make it through the match with the pain he was in. And so that was the decision, certainly, that he and our medical team made. It's the best decision for Wes, and that's the only thing in my mind that's important right now. It's a shame he's missing out. Wesley, another talent like Tyler Bate that should be doing big things, but he's out for about 8 to 12 months.
Look, I think, there's certain injuries you can maybe push through for a little bit, but you can't ever really overlook spinal and back injuries, and you can't overlook neck injuries or head injuries. And I think that you've met quite a lot of young wrestlers in training, and I've known people who have gone through like independent wrestling and stuff. Back injuries are nothing to be sniffed at. If it's small and it's just at a point where it's beginning to become an issue, you've got to really take the time to rehabilitate that, because you're constantly landing on your back. You're constantly taking shots to the back. So it's one of those things where I'm happy that this has happened rather than just push through it, because there was once upon a time it would be just push through it.
Just go through it. Yeah.
What do you mean you can't wrestle? See you later. It's good to see that the company is taking it very seriously, and it's a shame he's going to be out for so long, but fingers crossed it means when he returns fighting fit that he's going to be able to do so in a surprising manner, and maybe in a way that'll shock the audience, like maybe as a main roster surprise.
Maybe something like that. It's just hopefully 8 months is the optimistic outlook. 12 months at worst. So hopefully
Cena will be back in 3 weeks.
Exactly, Wesley. I hope you're ready for tonight at Deadline. One big name though that could be joining WWE or AEW in the new year is Okada. Sam, this is big.
It's massive. Kazuchika Okada, obviously, you don't really need to. His reputation precedes him. It's Kazuchika Okada. He's the main man in New Japan. His current deal is set to expire in late January with New Japan, but whereas in the past it would have been no question that he would have put pen to paper on a new deal, apparently various reports are suggesting that Okada could leave New Japan for either WWE or AEW. And in The Observer, Meltzer shed some more light on the situation, stating that money is apparently going to be a big driving factor if Okada does indeed swap New Japan for WWE or AEW. The Japanese yen is low compared to the US dollar right now, but one stumbling block is that Okada's wife is a well-known actress in Japan. She's been in films, TV, video games, blah, blah.
She's arguably more famous than him because she's like in mainstream stuff.
But her work situation may influence whether Okada moves or not, because obviously, it's gonna, if one person has to stay, one person has to go, it's not really going to work.
It's not going to work.
So a WWE source apparently noted to Meltzer that whilst there is a better chance of landing Okada now than ever before, it's by no means a sure thing. Successfully signing Okada would benefit WWE's business in Japan for sure, as although they've always had a presence in the country, even when they didn't have TV deals, way back in the day, and people do turn up for their shows. It's not as if they've kind of had that big presence that they have nearly everywhere else in the world.
The third biggest company in Japan, in terms of presence. You've obviously got your New Japan and your Noah, so WWE might want to engage in that market a little bit more, but Okada is a massive name, and right now with the way WWE is performing and how over a lot of their talent are, how low over the business is, it's surely something, we know he's open to it.
I would like to see him sign with WWE just to watch the world absolutely burn.
That's the thing,
That's my big thing. I would like to see what would happen because for me, it makes the most sense that he'd land in AEW if he's going to go anywhere in the US, because one, it means he's going to be able to still make, bookings for other companies in Japan, potentially not just New Japan. There's a lot of companies he can be working with AEW's open door policy. But also, AEW seem more open to allowing talents to travel in for set blocks of time and then return home for set blocks of time. So I think AEW makes the most sense in terms of, it gives him the opportunity where if his wife can't move to the States with him, he can sort of block time out where he is going to be in the States and spend most of his time back home. But then are AEW going to spring massive money for him if they can't use him, X, Y, Z, and they can only kind of use him via video for the build to a feud for a pay-per-view. But the thing is as well, seeing seeing stars you're used to seeing maybe once a month, weekly as well. Sort of, it takes away some of that special quality, doesn't it? And it's how I feel about a lot of stars that I really liked seeing in New Japan. And then when you see them on, a weekly basis, it's kind of like, there was something special about like something big fight feel about watching you wrestle. Like when I was only seeing you once a month. So I think I would like to see him in WWE just to watch the absolute meltdown. Just to watch the absolute meltdown.
It's going to be chaos. Wherever he goes, it'll be chaos.
Yeah.
Hey, let us know in the comments below where you'd like Okada to end up. This is a big month, though, for Cultaholic because it's Doc-sember.
You're damn right it is.
Golden Age is on the channel right now. That is part 1, the WWE Golden Age documentary that yourself, Matt, and Justin have been working incredibly hard on. You've got part 2 coming up soon, Sam.
Part 2's coming up this Sunday, 7 p.m. It's premiering on the channel where you are right now. Click on the channel. If you've not seen part 1, watch part 1. It takes from 1982, from Vince's buyout, all the way through to the end of the first WrestleMania. Part 2 is going to go from WrestleMania, sort of straight after WrestleMania, all the way through to the end of WrestleMania 3 and the fallout after that.
So you don't want to miss that. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. right here. We'll see you later on.